Well, I'm back with another video. I'm sure this newfound motivation will probably temper in its own due time. And in case you're wondering, yes, I wrote my own script today, and I'm going to be reading it. As you guys may or may not know, I like to make videos on subjects that are near and dear to me, aka things that truly matter to me. I really do like making videos that are near and dear to my heart. Seems like it kind of seems pointless to make YouTube videos that I don't care about. It's like exploring different ideas, and I like making videos on all kinds of things. So, I don't know. Maybe you found a channel that you like, maybe you didn't, who knows. But, click that like button. Smash it, bruh. Today, I want to talk about screens. Lovely mirrors that we're all so accustomed to staring at for a quarter of our waking hours. Holy shit. Is it really that long? That's crazy. A quarter of my waking life I'm looking at a screen? Damn. I'm particularly concerned and fascinated with the addictive aspects of what screens represent. Just as important as I think it is to recognize that screens are addicting, I think it's important to understand that it's not really the screens, but rather what we're doing on the screens. No porn. Okay, you guys. Porn's bad and Clay. Love Mr. Mackey. South Park is a genius show. It's what we're doing on screens that makes or breaks the acceptable meter of human flourishing. And obviously, there are so many benefits to technology and screens in general, the opportunity for furthering one's education through sites like Skillshare, or the Khan Academy, or any number of YouTube channels, or getting cool gig opportunities through places like Fiverr, or simply flopping your fat, lazy ass down and watching some dope streaming content. You really can't beat that. I mean, you really can't. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing to binge a show that you love, or to binge a set of YouTube videos. However, I have noticed for a while now, I'd say since probably 2012, a disturbingly high number of individuals completely sucked into their screen, i.e. their phone, or their tablet, or whatever screen you want to talk about. It kind of gives you that uneasy feeling, like when you're watching something really cringe that you know you probably shouldn't be watching, but you're getting a proper amount of sick satisfaction somehow. Someone who's educated out there and isn't just posting some random bullshit YouTube videos. You should DM me and let me know what this scientific phenomena is, because it's weird seeing all these people sucked into their screens, like, all the time. And you guys probably see it a lot with your friends and your family, just like people on their fucking phones all the time. You're like trying to hang out, have a good time, whatever, you're at dinner, or you're at the movies, or you're playing video games, or you're doing something cool. Like every 5-10 seconds, like pulling out their phone, doing something, and then coming back to what they're doing. It's just like, to me, it's just so lame and disrespectful that at a certain point, it just kind of makes you not want to hang out with these people. It kind of just makes you not want to participate in these activities. You feel me? Do you guys get that at all? I'd love to know. I think, though, what is at the heart of the issue for me is the social media aspect of the screen time that is so concerning and damaging. As you guys may or may not know, I recently quit social media, and it's been great. And I realized it was such a colossal waste of time. Like, it really was. And it prevented me from being truly creative, unrestricted in not only the arts and the art that I'm creating and the videos and the content that I make, but also with the conversations that I've been having with people and that I have with people on a regular basis. I was really creating a digital version of myself, all while sacrificing and self-censoring myself because I thought it was dangerous to my social media profile. And on a side note, a lot of this self-censoring ideology comes from, at least for me, just being real with you guys, it comes from being involved in the arts. And some of you may or may not know, it's kind of an open secret, but the arts are highly leftist. I won't say liberal because I'm liberal on a lot of issues, actually. But if I had to really just slap a label on myself, I'm kind of just a libertarian. You know what I mean? Like, I basically just want people to leave me alone, and I want to leave people alone, and just do whatever the fuck I want to do. You know what I mean? As long as I'm not hurting people and people aren't hurting me, like, that's pretty much what I want. In the art world, if you don't have the right ideas, then you aren't part of the group. And subsequently, you're branded any number of isms. You're racist, or you're sexist, or you're homophobic, or you're transphobic, or, you know, isms or phobics. Like, you're one of those. And this way of thinking, I truly believe this, is a detriment to being truly artistic. Think about it. If you're told that you can only have certain opinions and you can only have certain thoughts and hang out with certain people and read certain things, all of those who share the aforementioned approved ideologies and narratives and meta-narratives, then you're going to be severely limited in the kinds of ideas that you're capable of generating. So much so that your creative spirit will be hamstrung. I really believe you're seeing this with most Hollywood films right now. You're seeing this inability of being truly creative because there's like a prerequisite to basic ideas and thoughts that has to be abided by, or else your funding from producers and studios will be yanked, just like that. No more movie making for you because you're a bad person, because you have non-leftist ideas, and you are a piece of shit that can't get money and can't get creative funding, because we say so. I mean, like, that's basically what's happening. It's such a detriment to movies and TV shows and any kind of creative entertainment that you see today. It's not only limited to the creative vision from big budget films and TV shows, etc., but it's also actively made movies more boring and predictable and trite, in my opinion. It makes a mockery of the audience, who's craving something more universal themes, a respect for the individual, and a story that is free of identity politics, woke mantras, and characters who have genuine arcs that are satisfying to watch. People want to see that. Just by the by, producers, Hollywood leftist people, like, people want to see creative characters. They want to see characters who have real arcs, who start out from nothing and go through a series of trial and error, who make themselves into something more than they were previously, that overcome obstacles. They don't give a shit about diversity. It's great. You can have diversity in your characters. You can have different skin colors for your characters. Great. That's all fantastic. You can have different genders for your characters. I don't care if they're gender binary or not. Like, that doesn't really matter as long as the character is compelling, as long as they seem real. Like, that's what it's really about. Are they likable? Do they resonate with the audience? Is their dialogue believable? Like, things like that. Do they have a good arc? But, like, you just keep thinking that it's all about this woke skin color difference, leftist ideology, shove fourth wave feminism down people's throats. Like, it's not about that. It's not. And I know you don't want to hear this. I know this, like, makes you cringe. And, oh, this person's an alt-right neo-Nazi white supremacist. You know what I mean? Like that's your go-to argument. But it's fucking ridiculous. And it's false. And it's trite. And it's boring. And it's predictable. You need to stop it. Anyways, I digress. You guys like that? Because it's exactly how I feel. I also think it's made actors and performers less versatile, if you can believe it. I think it's made them less capable as well. When you have to fit into a preconceived mold of who you can be and what you can think, all of this seems to me not only miserable, but also it seems to be a disadvantage to your craft. The whole point of acting is being able to be as truthful and believable to your character or your role, which in turn comes off as genuine to an audience. And when they watch your performance, they see that. But if you can't explore someone who has a fundamentally different idea or ideas and a different way of how they view the world and how they think and how they act, you're not going to be able to capture that authenticity. And by virtue, it's going to make your performance that much weaker. The audience isn't going to accept your portrayal of the character. They're going to see that, whether they realize it consciously or whether it's a subconscious realization from their brain. Like, something's going to be off. I truly, fundamentally believe that you're seeing this in a lot of TV shows today. in a lot of movies today. It's no secret that most actors are highly leftist. Any form of different thought or ideas that go counterculture to their meta-narratives, they completely freak out on. They completely lose their shit. It's an open secret. And hey, if I don't get work because I make these videos, then fuck it. I really don't give a shit. Because I've always been about doing art that I truly believe in. Creative stuff that actually makes me feel good. And working with people who are really actually trying to make art. Not this corporate bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not interested in that. Sorry, but not sorry. So I guess all of this was a bit of a tangent, I suppose, considering that this video is about the dangers of screens, but somehow I think it applies to the idea that screens, social media, and an oversaturation of information and content is fueling this dumpster fire that we're currently seeing played out on the screens across America, and the world at large, for that matter. A fundamental realization that I think has to occur to the collective is that we are the product. Our eyeballs are the product, especially when it comes to social media, and them getting us to stay on these apps for extended amounts of time. And I think that's why Jaron Lanier's book, Lanier, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Lanier sounds cooler, but I think it's Lanier. His book is called You Are Not a Gadget, and I'm going to link it in the description below so you guys can go check it out, because it's fantastic. Like, I highly recommend that you go read this book. It's super appealing to me. But in particular, his idea of big tech companies paying to use your data. Because believe you me, if they had to pay to use your data, there would be a lot less emphasis on the collection of said data, and the entire business model would need to be restructured to suit the needs of the individual. How nice would that be? Not the siren servers, not the big tech companies, not the collection of data and hoarding it. So I highly recommend you go read that book. Like, it definitely has expanded my horizons on what I thought was even relevant in the whole idea of the collection of massive amounts of data. It kind of goes into universal basic income and how that would be sustainable. It's fantastic. Fantastic topic, and I realize maybe another tangent, but again, I think it applies. I think a major part of the problem that needs to be solved is the fact that most of these tech companies are simply getting too big and powerful to warrant them as private companies. And that the whole argument that comes along with that notion that they're private companies and they can do or ban anybody that they want to, they can do or say anything, they can ban anybody because they're a private company. Instead, I think, at least at this point, they need to be regulated and treated as public utilities, which I guess technically is a stretch, since I pretty earlier on recently in my video said I was a libertarian, but I think at a certain point it kind of needs to be addressed. Like, these companies are getting too powerful. Like, to be able to ban information that they don't want because it goes against their political ideology, and they can censor news stories and basically influence elections because of the ability to censor said information, like, that's fucked. That needs to change. That can't stand. And I think everyone needs to have access to them, regardless of political affiliation, religious views, etc., etc. We've seen time and time again people being censored for what they're saying because it goes against the ideology of the corporate board of CEOs and their company dogma. I mean, you even had Twitter censor the Washington Post for a legit story that covered the Hunter Biden corruption with Russia gas companies. Not because it was false information or fake news, but because it hurt their candidates' chances for election. And yes, I am saying that most major tech companies, news media agencies, academia, Hollywood, etc., 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 support Democrats, or in this case, Joe Biden. But I digress. And that's an open secret. That's a fact. You can go look at it. Go research it for yourself. You'll find out. So, I guess at the end of the day, what are some solutions? Because while it's fun to bitch and moan like I'm doing right now about all these things and all these problems, we need real actionable things that we can do to help combat this very real phenomena of screen sickness. So I've devised a list of some solutions, some practical, some more far-reaching, and I'm curious to know what you guys think of them. 1. We should petition our local governments and possibly even our federal government about designing maybe like a curriculum for screen usage, teaching kids especially the healthiest ways to engage with their smartphones, their tablets, and especially their social media accounts. And this includes teaching young children how to manage these social media apps, screens, etc. at an early age. I think that's the most critical thing, you guys, is to be able to teach kids at an early age that these social media accounts are basically cancer on their lives. Like they're not helping them. They're actually fundamentally hurting them. But maybe this whole thing is just a genie out of the bottle situation. Maybe it's too late. But I don't think it could hurt trying to teach young kids that these social media apps and screens in general are not good for their well-being. 2. Cultivating an understanding that every waking moment, and this may seem a bit contradictory to what the message of my video has been thus far, but I don't really think it is. I think it's beneficial to have a yin and yang approach to a lot of things. I think cultivating an understanding that every waking moment doesn't have to be in pursuit of being better. Sometimes it's okay to just waste a few hours watching funny YouTube videos or binging a whole season of your favorite show. But with the larger understanding that a person also has to cultivate the ability to defer gratification and put in the work and the effort at the appropriate times in order to keep your life on track. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. And I get that this is a fine line. I realize it, but I think it's one of the more subtle aspects of screen usage. And obviously, every individual is going to be different. So subsequently, you'll need a tailored approach to how you'll deal with the management of screen time. But I think that just gives you as an individual impetus to explore your individual self even more and probe the depths of your soul, as it were. Finding the inner workings of your true being. I don't know, is that too woo-woo? That might be too woo-woo. 3. Understanding that this isn't an overnight process. And tech companies are literally using massive data sets to fine-tune your screen experience. Whether it's a video game, a movie, a TV show, but especially your favorite social media apps, so that it's the most addictive experience possible. I think you can't hone in and harp that point enough. Like, they're literally using supercomputers to tweak and fine-tune what you watch so that it's a predictive and immersive experience to the point where it's predicting the things that you want to watch. It's an uphill battle. Like, I get it. But I truly do believe that these tech companies have a responsibility to their users to create an addiction-free experience. And so, I mean, you know, we don't, like, completely destroy the fabric of civilized society. I mean, that'd be kind of cool, right? More sports. More team sports. More individual sports. Basically anything that gets kids out there doing something beneficial with their bodies, minds, and their spirits. But, like, let's be real, bro. Like these kids that are, like, obese already at 11, 12, 13 years old, you know, I mean, on up to these, like, you know, teenagers and early 20-somethings that are obese. What is happening? This is not okay. I digress, because it's politically incorrect talking about how people are fat. But if you can get more kids interested in physical activities, you're going to kind of kill two birds with one stone. Like, you're going to be easing screen addiction and getting them into the habit of exercising. And that's a win-win. I mean, it might seem like a silly solution, almost too simplistic, like I mentioned earlier, but I'm telling you, an activity that builds character and resolve bolsters a sense of willpower. And that'll go a long way in helping people cope with screen addiction. You might be asking yourself at this point, what are some more bare bones, like, practical solutions? Because all that, Cheyenne, seems like far-reaching and highfalutin and all that, and that's all well and good, but what are some, like, actionable things that I can do right now? I think one of them is just not having your phone or your tablet within arm's reach all the time. I've done studies that show that if you have to walk, even if, like, a slightly significant amount to go get your phone, like, you're less likely to check it all the time. So if you just, like, put it in your safe, throw that bad boy in your safe, or, like, shut it off and put it in your car and, like, park your car, like, a few blocks down and just go and chill in your house, like It may not be the perfect solution. I'm not saying it is, but like it's gonna help you. It's gonna something else you can do too is like what I have on all my computers and my screens. Like I get .flux, and I'll link that in the description below. It's awesome. Like it helps your brain know when it's time to go to bed. There's a whole bunch of science on it. You guys can go research it. Kind of want to switch gears here. I think another sad aspect to all of this, all of the screen addiction, all of the social media sickness, the love for designing these games is pretty much gone. Instead, it's been replaced by like late stages of capitalism. That whole model of driving the need to maximize profit for every single cent. Fiduciary responsibility. Ah, yes. Fucking hate that word. Because it gives highfalutin twats, CEO twats, the ability and the excuse to basically fuck over everyday Americans and their everyday citizens, all for maximizing profit. And it's so sick, man. It's sick. And it's so pretentious. Talk to the designers of like the Mario franchise or the Tetris franchise. You can really, of these other mid-90s games, you can really hear them talk about the overwhelming love of creating these games. And I think we need to get back to that. I really do, because this maximizing the profit, the maximizing of addiction to create the best game possible, like the best interaction possible, the best social media app possible, like that's fundamentally not working. It's tearing the civilization of society apart. Like we're seeing it in real time. And it's scary, man. It's scary seeing all of my friends being zonked into screens all the time. And it's taking away the love of interactions with your everyday fellow man. Like, I really do truly believe that. You really can't slap a warning label on screens or social media telling people this may be overwhelmingly addictive and hamper their lives in major ways, as we've seen that even when having all of the information, think cigarettes, still doesn't curb addiction. Like, it might even have the reverse effect with some people and make them want to be a part of counterculture and go, you know, if the man is telling me that I can't do it, I'm just going to do it in spite of him. I mean, like, a lot of people do shit because their parents tell them not to. Like, just a sad fact of life. So that's really not a viable solution. To be honest, like, I don't have really any other solutions than the things that I've already proposed. And I'm a bit exasperated because I don't think anybody really has a baseline model of what we're supposed to do. We're in the largest psychological social experiment ever. There's no markable frameworks to abide by to help us guide us through all of this. Seems from the data that we're seeing that older people are actually starting to struggle with screen addiction more than the younger generations. And I think this is the one good thing, the one silver lining, if you will, to this whole problem. And let me explain why. Because the younger generations, such as the Zoomers, and especially the Generation Alphas, they're going to be in these positions of power in the future. And perhaps, just maybe, they will have figured out a way to navigate screen addiction. And by that time devised a way, or maybe a method, or a series of guidelines, or principles, or whatever, a framework, can help ease the burden of screen addiction in a measurable way. I mean, we can only hope. Because right now, we're just groping around in the dark, hoping we come up with something that's viable. And it's not working. Or maybe we're building the ultimate hive mind and we'll merge with machines, and AI will make us completely obsolete. That would really suck. At the end of the day, I think we have to develop a sense of personal responsibility and realize that, short of big tech doing a complete 180 and totally deconstructing the way they do business, therefore sacrificing millions of dollars in profit, so all of their apps aren't addictive, basically destroying their business model, and realizing that their model is completely broken, we need to take it upon ourselves to moderate our usage. That's just, it is what it is. That's what we have to do. Also, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, the irony is not lost on me. I'm delivering this message through a YouTube video that took me hours to write, mostly on a screen, edit on a screen, and then upload on a screen. But I guess sometimes you gotta compromise, you know? If you like this video, do all the stuff, all the stuff that people advise you to do. Subscribe. That's really the only thing I care about. Subscribe. Until next time, my fellow Don Nation.